سلام عرض میکنم. من رضا شمیرانی هستم از هواداران سازمان مجاهدین خلق که به اتهام حوالی از مجاهدین در 20 ژوئیه 1981 دستگیر شدم. طی 2 دقیقه دادگاه به 10 سال زندان محکوم شدم و 1991 از زندان آزاد شدم. در واقع من یکی از شاهدین قتل عام هستم که 1367 در زندان اوین بودم. مختصری رو براتون توضیح میدم. توی زندان اوین 4 ژوئیه 1988 یکی از من در سلول انفرادی بودم که همبندی من امیر عبداللهی رو به هیئت مرگ بردن. سحرگاه 5 ژوئیه اینو برگردوندن و حکم اعدام بهش ابلاغ کرده بودن. فردای اون روز 6 ژوئیه خود من رو به هیئت مرگ بردن که اون روز به من به خاطر تعداد زیادی از خواهرها و برادرایی که اونجا بودن، زندانیانی که اونجا بودن، به من نوبت نرسید و فردای اون روز جمعه بود. ساعت 7 ژوئیه 1988 من رو مجددا 2 بعد از ظهر صدا کردم و به نزد هیئت مرگ در ساختمان داستان‌های زندان اوین بردن. نزدیکای ساعت 2 بعد از ظهر بود که به من نوبت رسید. من رو وارد اتاقی که اعضای هیئت مرگ حضور داشتن بردم، با چشمم بردم. تا چشمم که برداشتم دیدم که 2 ملا و 2 نفر با لباس شخصی اونجا نشستن.
Mr. Shemirani, my apologies. Can you wait for a second? We sorting out the English translation, please.
Okay. You can continue, please.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
When I entered the court of the death commission, I saw that Mullah Nayyeri was there as a Sharia judge. He was sitting on the right. On the right side of him was another Mullah, Eshraqi. And on his left side was Mullah Pour-Mohammadi. And next to him, with a white shirt and a Pastar uniform and an IRGC uniform, was Ibrahim Raisi, who is now the chief of the judiciary and a presidential candidate in the regime's sham elections. Considering that my prison mate had been condemned just a while back, they called this a commission for pardoning from the Imam meaning Khomeini, but we know it as a death commission. They asked me, what is my charge? I said the organization, because I knew if I said Mujahideen, they would immediately give me my death sentence. I said I am a supporter of the organization. Now at this point, Raisi entered the discussion. He knew my case because 1 year before the 1988 massacre, I was interrogated and tortured for setting up the organization inside the prison. And Ebrahim Raisi knew this. And he told Nayyeri, who was the Sharia judge at that commission, asked him, where does he come? He said, and I said, I came from Evin, of course, I'm in Evin. He said, no, which ward did you come from? And he said, ask the defendant what he was doing in that ward. And Nayyeri was in a rush to give us the death sentences, and there was a lot outside the door waiting to be sentenced. Didn't have enough time, and so Raisi said to him, allow me to take him outside, and I will get the chart, the organizational chart of the MEK inside the prison from him. And Raisi took me out of the death commission room, and he said, write down the organizational chart right now of the MEK inside the prison. I stood there for a few moments, and I saw a guard coming there, and a guard, he made an announcement, this guard. He said, anyone who has been at the death commission, come with us. Anyone who hasn't been, sit down. And there was a commotion in the room at that time, and they were saying that those who, some of them have to go to Gohardash prison. And so I used this situation, and I stood up, and so that I would not be interrogated further by Ibrahim Raisi. And I was able to slip into that group, which was able to return to the ward. And later on the 12th of August of 1988, about noon time, they took me, about 10-15 others, again to the death commission. While we were standing there, around noon, I saw Nayyeri and Ebrahim Raisi coming out of the death commission to go to Gohardash prison, because until noon they would do the executions in Evin, and afternoon they would do them in Gohardash. And so at that time, I didn't go to the death commission because they went to Gohardash. And then it was the 28th of 1988 that it was about 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and we were about 10 people, and they took us to the death commission again for the third time I was going. And again, I saw Ebrahim Raisi and Mujtaba Halwai there. And Mujtaba Halwai took me outside of the queue and said, "You are still alive?" And Raisi said, "Take them to Ward 209. And all of those in 209 were sentenced to death already, because they were supporters of the MEK. And because of the many protests that had taken place against these executions, and Montazeri had intervened, they didn't execute us and they returned us. So in all these days and weeks, I saw Raisi as an active member of the Death Commission, even more active than Nayyeri, who was the Sharia judge. And Nayyeri would tire and couldn't continue the process. And Raisi was careful that all those that needed to be taken care of would be executed. And so I ask you as reporters to please take into consideration our witness statements, our testimonies, tell it to the world, let the world know what the massacres of 1988 were, and why in Evin prison and in Gohardash prison, more than 5,000 in these two prisons alone were executed over a 2-month period. And people who, as my friend said, were already serving their sentences on previous convictions and had no connection to the outside of the prison. Why were they tried again, and why were they executed? Thank you very much for listening to me. I wish you all success.